Live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Friday Live with me, Matthew Dashper-Hughes. This week, it is my absolute pleasure, and I'm genuinely excited about this, to be joined by Nicky Bartley, the owner of Thrive and Shine, and the architect of an incredibly exciting new innovation in the field of well-being, workplace well-being, mental health, productivity. It's a game changer. It is a game changer, and I cannot wait to talk about this today. So this is very exciting for me. So without further ado, Nicky, welcome. And would you like to just give a little 60-second, 90-second overview, who you are, what it is you do, and I suppose how you've added value, or at least a few of the ways in which you add value, because I know there's a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. No pressure then. I'm Nicky Bartley. I set up Thrive and Shine actually about 18 months ago as a result of joining BNI and meeting you lovely lot. I've been a coach and trainer for 6 or 7 years, and I specialise in mental health and wellbeing in workplaces. And I've got a keen interest in stress, and that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. No, thank you for that. I mean, interesting. You say a keen interest in stress. Now, this is a really interesting area for me, because the word stress is one of those words that I think gets bandied around a lot. But I'm not so sure that everybody really kind of always understands what it is we're even talking about. I mean, let's start fairly high level. Give us a bit of a view of what stress even is.
So stress is our innate response to either fear and danger or insecurity and misunderstanding. And we experience stress in both of those situations, when we're feeling insecure or when we're being chased by a tiger. And we have within us a stress management system that lets us know which is which, but we don't pay attention to it. And so stress can become unhealthy. It can lead to chronic stress, illness and disease. So that's the side I'm really interested. I am also interested in the other side actually as well, because I like getting people back on track, and get them in touch with a stress management response, so that they're not spending a lot of time in their insecure, stressed state.
Which makes a lot of sense. Ultimately, the way I always look at it is our brains kind of have evolved over many hundreds of thousands of years for a world which, to a certain extent, no longer exists. We're in that situation where the tigers that might once have chased our ape-like ancestors, hopefully pretty much less likely to chase us. But we still have that stress response to other things which are perceived as tigers. And so I can't believe I just did that, and I feel a little bit dirty.
Love it.
Okay, sorry about that. I'll never do that again, I promise. Until the next time. But okay, so talk to us a little bit about the work that you've been involved in over the course of the last couple of years, because the project that you've been involved in for, is it 21 months of development?
21 months, yeah, 21 months it is. So my keen interest in stress, I actually love stress, and it isn't about getting rid of it. It's about enabling people to understand it, because it is part of how we function. It's part of how our mind works, and getting people to understand it is important. And as I said, I've been working with teams for quite a while now, and trying to get them to understand how their mind works, so that they can start to tune into their stress management system, their innate response to stress. And it just became apparent that we're almost, not always, but in a lot of situations, we're walking away from, we're having big breakthroughs around mental health and well-being, because we're putting in lots of techniques and programs that are wonderful, really good intention, bringing people together, but because we're missing our understanding about stress, they're not that actually that successful. And there are also, when we're looking at stress in organisations that are made up of several people that have all got stress for different reasons, it's not always a blanket approach to mental health that we need. And so I got really curious, and it was actually a wonderful conversation with our very own Paul Longmore. We were just talking about something, and he told me about an organisation who tried to do an audit of stress, and I think they got 3 months in and decided they're opening a can of worms. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it then. I'm going to start measuring and testing stress in organisations. And partly because I'm so confident in what I teach and how I work, and that gets really good results, that I don't mind being measured. And so it was kind of, you know what, it's a no-brainer for me to let's show organisations that what I do works. And that's how it started. And then from there, it was this realisation that, oh, you know what, that's all good and well, proving my worth is brilliant. But how about there's some bigger potential here for really bringing stress into the forefront and understanding it more deeply across the board. And so this little audit that I thought was going to take about 30 days to put together, 21 months later, and I've got to be honest, I haven't done it on my own. Keele University and the CRIS project, Emma Bonfiglio and Colin Rigby, they've been when I was talking to them about this, something in them just got excited too and saw the potential in it. Yeah. And so they picked this up, and we've been working together ever since. And we did some real groundbreaking research that is not brought into workplaces. It's not even brought into clinical settings, actually, and interventions that we forget about. And so, yeah, we've brought that into the audit, and the whole audit is based on clinical and evidence and research that underpins the questions we ask. So
fantastic. I mean, this for me is where I start to get a little bit excited, I have to say. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. Because speaking as somebody who spent 25 years of his life, in either large corporate businesses or now working with a lot of large corporate businesses, and indeed even in small to medium enterprises, one of the biggest challenges is communication, but also, even being able to articulate what's really going on. And, if you talk to any HR person who's worth their salt, they'll be talking about people strategy and, colleague engagement, and they'll be doing things like their workplace surveys and employee surveys and things. But the problem with all of these things is that they're a little bit disjointed, and even amongst the best of them, there's a low level of kind of actionable insight that comes out of them. And even where there is actionable insight, things don't always get done. So it's about, having a dashboard that instantly says, from an employer's point of view, here's what's really going on in your business. And it really is anonymized, which means that people genuinely can actually tell the truth and not feel or fear any kind of repercussion, and in a negative kind of way. And for me, this is such a powerful tool potentially for employers to be able to do something about their business, make it a happier, healthier workplace, exercise their duty of care both morally and legally to their own employees, but also, for the hard-nosed bean counters out there, increase their productivity. They can make a shed load more money by actually being nice employers, even though they probably think they are nice employers. It's not what you think. It's the real impact of this thing. So tell us a bit more about the output. Tell us a bit more about this actual, the thing you've spent 21 months creating along with the university, because Bessie, as she is called, well, tell us what Bessie stands for one thing.
Yeah, Bessie stands for Bespoke Evaluation and Spotlight of Stress in Employment for Employees. And there's 203 questions, there's 4 sections, there's countless algorithms and combinations of. And basically what it does is it finds the stress in your people, and it finds the causes and the impacts of that in your people and in your organisation. And what's really surprising, I still get amazed that we don't do this. So we'll be used to switching social media on or switching the news on and seeing lots of statistics around well-being. But that information doesn't actually usually come from the people. It comes from HR departments and leaders, and it doesn't actually come from the people it's impacting. Whereas Bessie, it comes from them. And it's really important that your people are not identifiable in this. But the beauty of it is it doesn't give you a list of the answers to each question that's asked. that they are pointless. You wouldn't even realize, I mean, there's no stress mentioned in any of the questions, because we know that people don't actually understand their own stress. So we're looking for where it is, and they don't even know they've got it. You know, they'll tell you the stress that they have very often. Well, sometimes they won't, but that's easier to identify. And that's what we're identifying at a surface level every day. But there's things going on in your business and in your people that you're not even realizing is impacting things like risks of health and safety and accidents at work at a higher level, or even just the way your customers leave feeling when they've done business with you. Yeah, so things like that. And so the algorithm picks all of those little idiosyncrasies up that we don't notice, and that you actually, what we do when we ask someone a question about stress is we immediately put our bias there. And so the algorithm is designed to take that out. And that was a really tricky part for me, actually, as someone who talks about stress all day. It's like, you know, I had to keep coming back to the research and not putting what I know in there, or what I think, or what I perceive in there. And so that's why it's taken 21 months, really. But that's the magic behind it, is that it gives you a picture of your organization in terms of stress and where it's impacting everything.
I mean, that's incredibly powerful. I mean, this is giving real knowledge, actionable knowledge to employers and to employees to do the right thing, which, I mean, let's be honest, most employers would like to be doing the right thing anyway. Because, you know, I know I say the hard-nosed bean counters, but they're in the minority. Most of us would like to be good employers. But it's an interesting point. I was talking to, well, I had a couple of guests on here previously, both Ian Kelsall from Insight 6 and also Veronica Kitten, who you and I both know from VK Business Assist, both talking about the customer journey and, you know, the power of having really engaged employees as part of that customer journey, because ultimately the only way of influencing your customer's experience is to make darn sure that your employees are happy and healthy and well adjusted. So you made the point there that it does cascade through in all aspects, doesn't it?
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, you know, the beauty of this as well for me, Matthew, is ultimately when you see your reporting, what you're able to do is you're able to create a wellbeing strategy that's actually meaningful, that is going to help the people to do a better job and improve your organization. And it's going to help your people to be healthier. You know, it's going to improve their well-being. But that isn't always through the obvious routes where we think that the route to well-being is to do a lot of training around mental health. But the route to well-being might be you need an extra employee in that team, and you've been putting it in that team. Like, because our solutions are not always obvious and we haven't got the data. You know, we can think one thing, but actually when we see the evidence of how it's working, we can actually see that it's something else. And so this is going to impact recruitment. It's going to impact HR policies, how they're rolled out and delivered and implemented. It's going to impact training in a wide variety of ways. We don't just need mental health training. You know, well-being is about all of us. It's about us holistically, and it's about your business holistically. And that is what the algorithm is designed to pick up, because it's that we're suffering from. That there's so many things, so many gaps in our day, so many hurdles to jump over in our day, so many things to navigate, both personally in our personal lives and at work. And so the data is that's what it's showing, that's what it's bringing up for you.
Fantastic. And, you know, having that kind of level of academic rigor that underpins something like this. So it's a genuine diagnostic tool that can really give you something actionable. And I guess, you know, looking at it from a well-being strategy point of view, and having it almost as and forgive the phrase, but it's almost like an ugly mirror that the employers look into and go, okay, I'm seeing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because certainly in most of the board tables that I've been privileged to sit around, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, there was a little bit of self-pleasuring, a little bit of, dare I say, confirmation bias, and, you know, well, that's everybody else, but it's not us. You know, we're perfect, we're amazing. And there's that little kind of unwillingness to look in that ugly mirror. So the fact that you've got something which is robust, data driven, and actually says, you know what, actually maybe there is a challenge here. Because as Mark Twain once said, you know, it's not what we don't know that hurts us, it's what we know for sure that just ain't so.
Yeah.
And there's an awful lot of that goes on in business. There's an awful lot of people who kind of know things for sure that actually aren't really true.
Yeah.
You know, so actually, oh no, we're perfect, we're a wonderful place to work. Are you really?
Yeah. And I think, going back to what you said earlier, Matthew, as well, about, I think I don't come across many business leaders who don't want the best for their people and their organisation. It's just that we've all got a different way of approaching it, and we've all got a different level of understanding of where the gaps are, of, you know, but this takes that out of it. We don't need to necessarily understand. We get a picture of it, and it's not all doom and gloom. You know, the thing, it's so empowering to know, to have the data and finally know what you can work on, what you can spend your money on. I mean, what, you know, that was another question I kept asking businesses is, what would you spend for well-being? You know, and I don't have various responses from nothing to, you know, X amount of hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's like, well, how did that work out for you? It's like, it's really nice. It's really good, really nice.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what were the results? And then that's when we met with radio silence. But I really, if we're spending money in an area, we need to know that we're spending it wisely. You know, otherwise, why do it? And I do see this. And this is not knocking anything in well-being at all, or in that space, or anyone else, because I know some extraordinary trainers and, you know, people that do this work. But actually, if we're sending out, you know, I know companies as well that consider well-being, that they pay really well. That isn't well-being. That's, you know, things like, if we're counting things like that in our well-being work, then we're missing something, and that will show in the data. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, and send out a mug to everyone. You know, all my workforce, like happy packages or whatever they're called, I don't know. But they're not going to improve well-being alone if you don't know the causes and the impacts of well-being. They might be a brilliant way to complement something, but it's about actually getting interventions that are robust.
Yeah.
And before I forget this, I do want to say, it's also, so well-being is about being able to identify presenteeism. And actually, that's what people can't do. We have not got anything that does that at the moment, like nothing. But Bessie does. It identifies, and that's what I'm most excited about, is those elements of our workforce and those people in our workforce who are at risk of keeling over or leaving because we're not doing the right things or not doing anything about it. Obviously, that's called presenteeism. And we're so reliant on HR consultants and leaders, and they're trying so hard, but without a tool to actually see the data themselves, they don't know. You know, they can kind of look at their statistics, but unless someone's come to them and said, you know, I was working at 11 o'clock last night, and I've been doing that for the last 6 months, and, you know, which people are not doing. People don't do that. They're just, you know, these little things go unnoticed and sometimes get celebrated as, oh, that's a good team member. You don't see that that's a team member that's either going to go off to a better company or is going to keel over with burnout and chronic stress at one point. So
yeah, absolutely. It's identifying where the target areas are, and there's a very, very big difference between getting some additional discretionary effort, which is what makes a really good team member, and basically somebody who's burning the candle at both ends because you haven't given them sufficient resource to be able to do what they want healthily. So yeah, no, it's a huge area, and as you say, presenteeism. I mean, goodness me, a measure for that.
Yeah.
This is the hidden killer of productivity. You know, it's something that brings businesses to their knees and certainly undermines them in ways they're not even able to articulate right now. So this is phenomenal. I mean, I can't imagine for a second there isn't an HR professional who isn't right now, who's listening to this, who isn't like rejoicing. Because, you know, certainly from my point of view, looking at it as a trainer who deals with an awful lot of managers and things like that, and I know that a lot of managers, you know, they wouldn't even know how to recognize this stuff, not because they're bad people.
No.
Far from it. It's just that actually most of us, and myself included, you know, the whole length of their runway into management was something along the lines of, oh, congratulations, you've got a promotion, you start Monday.
Yeah.
And that's the whole of their training. You know, it's like, well, figure it out for yourself. And you know, that's not enough, is it? To be able to help and empower other people. It's difficult.
Yeah, totally. And it's the presenteeism that at the moment I'm just so excited about. I just think it's going to be a game changer for organisations and for the people working in organisations, because they don't. Most of them have never heard of presenteeism. They think they've been a really good employee. Most people are trying so hard, and this sort of thing just takes a few tweaks to change, and can have a massive impact. But if we don't know about it, if we're not aware of it, if we don't know what's going on, if we think, oh, it's only a couple of times a week I do that, well, that might be true. But coupled with other factors that the algorithm's measuring, that couple of times a week might just be once too much, you know. And it is about getting that deeper picture of, are you filling your cup up too much? And what does that look like?
Absolutely. And if you're into this space from an employer's point of view, where you're looking at it and thinking, what is it that's driving members of my team to feel that, you know, when they're not well, they're still coming in and still driving themselves too hard and basically trying to drive themselves when actually they should really be taking some time out. You know, they should be getting some downtime. What is it in my culture that's driving them to do that? Because they haven't done that in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not to say that you've deliberately gone out to create an unhealthy culture, but, you know, intention and actuality can sometimes be two different things. And this can actually help you to see the reality with that sort of intention stripped away.
Yeah.
So very, very, very powerful. So what kind of businesses do you think can actually benefit from this? I mean, is there a limit on size of business that can get involved? I mean, who can actually take part in this?
There's a limit right now because we're beta testing, and so we have to. So, you know, I'm saying 20 to 30 employees at this stage, but that's only going to be for, you know, a matter of months before we get the tech behind this, and then there's no limit. You know, it's just a matter of manpower for me and Joanne, who's managing the data and analysing the data with me at the moment. But as soon as we've got the tech available to roll this out, then it doesn't matter what size. In fact, you know, I started in mind, and this is still my, you know, I started with SMEs in mind because I love SMEs. I know they're the most under-resourced. And if the last 12 months hasn't shown us that, then, you know, I don't know what has, but, you know, they're less likely to survive any difficult circumstances. And because I'm an SME, I just, you know, I know that I think it was 70% of our economy, here in Staffordshire certainly, 70% of our employees were, pre-COVID, employed in an SME. That's a massive amount of people that rely on SMEs every day for their finances, for their family and for their communities. And so, yeah, certainly SMEs. But as this is developed, I mean, I just wasn't expecting this, if I'm being honest. I wasn't expecting it to be so good. I feel embarrassed saying that, but I wasn't. But what we've realised is we'll be taking this to all organisations. It doesn't matter if you're a multinational conglomerate. You can do Bessie. Yeah.
And this is where the sky really is the limit with it. It's the opportunity that it has for shaping, you know, the future of really the workplace full stop. You know, so starting with, you know, SMEs now, but, you know, what a great opportunity. And from what you've told me before, actually the implementation is really, well, you've deliberately designed it so it's really easy. It's not onerous to put in if you're an employer, is it?
No, it's a link and you know, all your employees will get a link, probably about 30 minutes to fill it out. Click the link, you're done, and the results will be delivered sort of within a week. You get your reporting fed back to you, so that you can understand it. And it becomes really obvious when you look at the reporting where there are gaps. It also becomes really obvious where you're doing really well. And actually, we don't understand that. We can think we're doing really well in one area, and actually you don't see that, oh wow, I've done really, really well. And that's the pilot actually has shown the companies that I didn't actually know that was that good. And so there's that as well. You know, this isn't all about where you're doing rubbish, where is the stress. It's like, what are you doing well? We need to be learning from those companies. We need to be sharing that learning with, you know, with all of us. We can all learn from each other.
That's really, I mean, what a great way of looking at it. I mean, certainly in Sandler, we talk about looking for things in terms of continuous improvement. Where can we do more of the good stuff? So identifying the good stuff and doing more of it. Where's things maybe not quite where they should be, so we need to do those even better. You know, we can improve on those things. And is there any area where maybe we're letting ourselves and our people down? That's areas where we need to act differently. So, you know, if this can kind of help you to identify those three things and say, here's how we, you know, really supercharge our business. I mean, ultimately, this is an accelerator for your workplace. And it's like, you know, a way of really redefining your internal culture. It's powerful stuff.
Totally. And, you know, looking longer term, I mean, you know, my intention was never really to roll it out this way, but it's just become clear that that's necessary. But it's going to be licensed to coaches and consultants and trainers, and business leaders can do this themselves. They don't necessarily need Thrive and Shine's intervention even. It'll just be a link, you know, and you'll go through the process. And if you come out all super green, then like, what do you need me for anyway? It's like, give yourself a pat on the back. You know, because there's that potential too. And then, you know, you might say, actually, you know, we need some additional HR support, or we're missing some policies, we hadn't thought about that, or there's some health and safety issues here that we hadn't known, or there's a training issue over here that we hadn't seen. You see, stress is multidimensional. It comes from all areas of our life, not just, you know, we assume that we've got stress in our organisation and that's because the people are stressed, which is true, but you've got to start to understand what's causing it before you can put into place anything useful. So
absolutely fantastic. Yes, I get the real causes, the underlying causes, and be targeted in the way in which we're dealing with it. I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but actually we're coming up on the top of our half hour together. I did say it was going to go super quick.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
These conversations always go really, really fast, and I'm almost sort of conscious. I think we might need to increase them to 45 minutes at some stage. But yeah, thank you so much for that. I mean, Nicky, how can people get hold of you? How can people get involved with this project? Tell people how it is they can reach you.
Well, we're just now rolling out the beta testing. So businesses up to about 30 employees, we'd love you to get involved. You can email me at info@thrive-and-shine.co.uk. Or if you're on social media, you can PM me on Facebook or LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, PM me on LinkedIn and I'll send you some information. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you all actually. So.
Absolutely flipping fantastic. I'm sure that everybody who's been watching got just as much out of that as I did. Nicky, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciated it. This has been Friday Live. My name is Matthew Dashper-Hughes, and next week it is Good Friday, which means that we might well be having a week off, unless I can persuade somebody from America to come and talk to me for a little bit, which I'll be having a chat with him later on today. We'll see how we get on. So yes, my name is Matthew Dashper-Hughes. If you want to get hold of me, again, like Nicky, I'm on LinkedIn. There's not too many Dashper-Hugheses out there, so you should be able to find me. You've also got the email address, which is mdh@sandler.com. And my phone number, which is 07715 269 724. That is it for this week's Friday Live. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Enjoy. And thanks again, Nicky, for being this week's guest. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Matthew.